Hello. My camera has just decided to go all wonky. Well, welcome, Crystal Palace. You can just about see my eyeballs, and that's all you can see in that camera. I'm not entirely sure what went on there. Let me just sort that out. So unprofessional, sorting out my own camera, faffling live on show. Anyway, there we go. That's technology for you. My name is Galina.Rin, and you are watching the Upper Norwood Library Hub's Library Lunch. And we have a guest with us who is a proper big rock star, basically. His name's Joel Montague, and he's a West End singer, and that's about all I know about you. So this is going to be a fun time of finding out about Joel. Hello, Joel. How you doing?
Hi, Don. I'm good. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. If you guys are out there in internet land, you'll have to let us know by leaving a comment. If you want to ask a question or make a comment or anything, just drop it in the chat, and we shall come to it when we see it. So, Joel, for all those out there in normality land who don't know who you are from Adam, what is it you do?
I mean, most people don't know me from Adam, so I don't blame them. I'm an actor, basically. Been in the business now for about 12 years, 12, 13 years. Obviously, we don't really count this year, I don't think. I don't think anyone's going to count this year. Yeah, but I've been very fortunate to work with some wonderful people and on some great shows. So yeah, that's kind of what I do. Well, obviously not at the moment, but hoping to go back to at some point.
So let's just start at the beginning. Like, how did you get into it? Like, was it a passion as a kid? All that kind
Uh,
of who has?
I didn't really have much choice, really, to be honest. My mum has a dancing school in my hometown in Crewe, where I'm from in Cheshire. Her and my auntie, who's her older sister, the dancing school's been going 70 years this year now.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
been going a long, long time, way before I was even thought of. And then yeah, I just trained as a dancer as a young kid, and then kind of went that route, got into sort of festivals and singing, and did drama at school and stuff, and went to Guildford, and then happily had a career, really. So yeah, that's kind of it, really.
You just fell into it. What a job to fall into, eh? Most people fall into the civil service, and you just fell on stage.
Yeah, I did fall on stage. I mean, I think it kind of helped because I was sort of related to the people at the school, so I kind of think quite a bit of pressure was put on me anyway. But luckily, I was good. I think it would have been a nightmare if I would have been absolutely awful as a kid. So I think I was lucky that I had a bit of talent as a kid. Because I didn't. In fairness, my mum wasn't very pushy actually at all. She appears more pushy now than she ever was when I was younger, which is ironic, to be honest. But yeah, so that's kind of how it all started and evolved, and here I am in unemployed land of coronavirus outbreak of no entertainment. So
Mm. So just before all the world collapsed, what was it that you were doing?
I was in a show called Waitress, which is a show written by the amazing Sarah Bareilles and Jessie Nelson, and it was at the Adelphi Theatre on the Strand, where Back to the Future is now going. Was announced that's going to be going there next year. Yeah, we were in the midst of it. We kind of finished sort of we sort of did our Saturday night, went home as our usual business, came in on the Monday, and obviously everything, all the shows went on lockdown. So to be honest, it was kind of very much the rug being pulled from under your feet, because I think at first we all thought it was a couple of weeks, possibly a month, and then it was, well, we're still here and on the verge of, well, hopefully not, but looks like maybe possibly a second lockdown, which we're really hoping that isn't going to happen, because obviously some theatres have announced that they're going to open. But how positive that's going to be, we don't know. I think there's the difference between being pessimistic and being realistic, and I think we've all got to be realistic. If the country's run by a set of people that in fairness then don't even know what's going to happen, it's very hard for them to put a lot of people together in a theatre to watch a show with a virus, on an outbreak. So it's
Yeah.
quite difficult. It's difficult,
So
but
what
we'll
have
get there.
yeah, we all hope so.
Absolutely.
Well, so what have you been up to in this period to assume stop yourself from going crackers by not having any work? Like,
And to be
everybody
honest,
else.
I've not actually done. that much to do with theatre, really. I have a company up here, and I have obviously my mum's dancing school, so I've been doing a little bit of teaching here and there, but it's been quite nice to not do it, because it's made me miss it. I think you get to a certain age and you think, oh, do I still want to be doing this? And actually, it's made me realize, yeah, I still want to be doing it, which I think sometimes you need that stopgap. It normally happens when you're not in a job, but then your mind is so desperate to get another job that you actually forget why you do it in the first place. So I think it's made, hopefully, a lot of us kind of go, yeah, there's a reason why we do it and why we love it. So yeah, and I've just been teaching. I've been a Hermes driver, which has been fun, very enjoyable. A lot of crazy, wonderful stories. But it's been great. It's just been a shame that there's not been much to do outside of, for me, the world of crew. So that's quite, difficult. But
Yeah.
it will. Things can only get better. That's how I try and look at it. So.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think there's across the bands. I've seen band because I'm from a band background, so I've seen bands give up at this point. They're just like, you know what, this is obviously a time for us to stop. So I think what you're saying about people having a time to reflect on whether they want to be in there or not is it's present in a lot of jobs as well. I mean, people who needed a kind of push to retrain into something have gone, well, nothing's going to happen now for a couple of months, for a year or whatever. I can just go to university.
Yeah. And it depends what responsibilities they've got. I mean, I'm quite lucky. Well, I say I'm lucky. Actually, I don't. I'd love to have a wife and kids and a family, but at the moment, I don't have that. So, in one sense, I'm lucky career-wise. I am, because I don't have any responsibilities.
Yeah.
But realistically, you then do look at your own life and kind of go, well, actually, what do I want from my life? Like, what do I want? Because but I don't think it's just been in entertainment. I think it's made a lot of people do that. I know a lot of families have struggled because, like, people have had to work from home now and are going to carry on working from home. And that time that you want apart, maybe as a couple, brings you back together because you've got things to talk about. Whereas when you live with each other all the time, it's very difficult to keep that fresh. So I think it's been a struggle mentally more than anything. But we have to come out the other side. So it will just be so intriguing to see how the world adapts, because that's what we have to do. We can't change it. We have to adapt. So there's only so long we can go walk around and be at a 2 meter distance. And do you know what I mean? Obviously, the masks are going to be inevitable now, but there's certain aspects of the rules that won't be able to be around anymore. Otherwise, the economy will go, and we kind of need that after Brexit a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
So you have been doing a little bit of theatre because I know that because you've done a show with us. So
I did. I've done a few concerts, which has been really nice to dust off the pipes and see if they're still there. And yeah, and it was really, the concert that we did was really nice, really well received. And I've started a radio show now, a little musical theatre radio show back in my Cheshire area on the Cat Radio. So that's quite fun. I'm just kind of trying to keep myself busy. I think anytime you do concerts, they're really nice, but sometimes there can be a lot. Like for me, this lockdown period, there's been so many concerts that I'm like, I can't watch anymore. I just want to watch a show, to be honest. I want to watch a story rather than everyone just standing up and singing a song. It's great, but you just want something different, I think people are pining for that to come back. However, in saying that, it's keeping people busy and keeping people singing and entertained. So there's every need to have a place for them.
Yeah. I'm interested as from a singer point of view, and we also have a lot of the community choir that are watch the show. So in theory, if you're currently in the off season, how do you look after your voice? Because surely when you come back to work, you have to be on. I'm imagining like you just have to be on it when you come back.
I always think the voice. I mean, that renowned saying, the voice is a muscle, and it's really true. You go back and you could, in one sense, the first day back, you could probably sing anything because you're just like, oh my God, I get to sing. Like it's mind over matter. The day after, however,
Yeah.
is a very different ball game, because once you, let's say, I say, blown your voice in one sense, once you've given it everything, the day after can be heavy, and you'll go, oh, I've not used my technique. I've not, there's so many different aspects. I don't really, it sounds bad, I don't really look after my voice, but if I know I'm going to do something, like I've got a recording in a couple of weeks, then I will have a few days of just singing it into I always think you have to sing a song into your voice. It's fine just going and singing it, but if you've not had a few goes, or worked out the tricky sections that you find difficult, or it's like anything, it's muscle memory. You have to put it into your voice. Like there's a song I sung in that concert, there's the Hunchback song, Out There. I've sung that song so many times. I could literally be at death's door and I would find a way through that song just because I've sung it. It doesn't mean to say that I'm the best singer of it. I've just sung it so many times, and you probably have that with your own material as a musician, because you built a song around your voice. It just comes out without you even thinking about it.
Yeah.
Practice is always the key. I think if you're in the off season, I'd always try and sing once or twice a week just to keep my voice going, I guess. That would be my only advice for people that are, let's say, in the off season, as you say. But yeah, I always think it's nice to have something to work towards. So, like, if you have got a concert coming up or a recording, then it's just material that then you can work on. Give yourself goals. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of my friends have done like that song a day. They've done like a song a day on Facebook, like the song a day challenge and stuff. I haven't. I'm too lazy to do that. But yeah, I know a few of them have done that, and they said they've really enjoyed it.
I did. When I left the civil service full-time job, I did a song a day to try and get myself into a way of writing songs all the time. And I got to day 16, and somebody killed themselves, and that would just put an end to the whole thing.
Wow.
Like a friend of a friend. But the first song I wrote on the song a day is on my new album. The very first one, because it was the only one out of that 16 songs that I gurgitated out of nothing every day that was worth anything, I think. But it's just odd. But yeah, they're good. I mean, they're all right. They're very stressful. Those do a song a day for a month. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Absolutely.
So do you like? I know some singers, they have like a large warm up routine and things like that, and then some singers, like the guy from Judas Priest, is well known for just walking straight on stage and just not having any of it.
Yeah.
Where do you sit between those?
My singing teacher probably won't be happy with me. I'm just like, oh well. Like as you well know, Daniel, Ed, my wonderful housemates who I adore, who are probably going to give some shade if they're watching right now. I will just, I never, it's like I sound like I never care. I do, and I do warm my voice up, but I just don't. I always get scared to warm it up too much. I think some singers do warm it up too much. I always have a sort of a rule that if I wake up, I'll go, I've only got 1A today. Like stupid things like that. Your top note or your couple of top notes, whatever you got, you're like, I've only got one in the locker today. So I'm gonna wait until I have to use it. It's kind of like a special power. So I don't tend to warm up massively, or if I do, it's literally like lip trilling. It's just, very, very light, because I just don't think there's any need for it. Your voice isn't, it's kind of like doing a marathon, but going for a 5K run before you start your marathon. Like, why would you do that? You might warm up, stretch. I mean, as if I've run a marathon, let's be honest. But, you might do those things to set yourself up. And I think that's what happens when you're sirening or lip trilling or doing light warm up to your voice. It's getting it into the places and the registers where you're going to hit. But singing it full out a few times before you do it live, I would hardly ever do that, to be honest. I really would. So
yeah, that's good. I'm trying to siphon off all this tasty information.
I'm basically lazy. That's essentially what I'm saying. I'm lazy.
I mean, I'm obviously not at the level of any of you guys. But everything I've studied has said the same thing. Like, do 10 minutes of light warm up, isn't it?
It's also very different. Like, you're saying not the level, but a level of what? Like, we have trained as singers in theatre. Yes, I can sing rock and pop and opera and different styles, but I would never class myself as a rock singer. Just because I can sing the style doesn't mean to necessarily say that I am, a a don in that area. I'm not. I just kind of I like to. I've always tried to be versatile. I mean, my voice will always sound very the same, but I've always tried to make it versatile so I can sing different styles. Um, I just think being a chameleon is far more fun as an actor and a singer than being a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think if your job relies on you being able to do various characters, then that's key, right? But where
yeah, absolutely.
if you're just making up your own character, like someone in a band makes their own character and they are that character, that is the
Yeah, I think, and also like when you are playing a role, there's so many things that come into it, like where your voice sits when you talk, or your accent, or your speech, or there's so many things. So then putting that into a song is just as exciting because I think the default option is to sing American.
yeah.
Naturally, a lot of people sing with that kind of American twang because there's something about an American sound when people sing that is more pleasing to the ear than maybe another. I mean, I guess maybe French or Spanish because there is, or if you go into opera, Italian or German, or But I do think the generic sound is kind of very American, even when English singers sing. Um, but obviously, in some shows, like when I did Fat Friends, it was set in Leeds. So I had to sing in this northern accent, which, to be honest, it's not the most pleasing to sing in because it doesn't sound nice to listen to, if that makes sense. Um, but it makes it more interesting for me because it's just a different way of singing. You pronounce vowels very differently in accents, so then you're finding a way how you do that vocally, especially if you're hitting notes up at the top. You'll have little cheats, but then you can't use those cheats if you're singing in a different vowel or
Oh yeah.
things like that. I do find that quite fun to work out.
That's cool. Have you been stumped by not a language, an accent that you've had to do while singing? Or well,
Yeah,
anything by doing anything.
probably when I was in Billy, the Geordie accent was really difficult at first. Um, and I would try and do a Geordie accent now, but it's been a long time since I've done it. So I heavily doubt that I would be good. But the one good thing about being in that show was there was a lot of genuine Geordies in that show. So when you were speaking to them every day, you heard the way they spoke, and then you could emulate that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, it was pretty easy because you just swear a lot. You just swore in the show. That's all you did. So it was always good. If you're having a bad day, it was a brilliant show to do because you just go out and swear. It was brilliant. But yeah, probably the Geordie one is probably the most that I found the most. I find American ones quite easy compared to English ones, actually. I mean, Danny, my housemate might say that because he's from Kentucky, so he might be like, "Your American's awful." But yeah, so like, I mean, I've done American ones. I've done kind of a general American, California. Then I've done quite a few New York roles, like Bronx or Brooklyn, and then most recently, Waitress he was from Oklahoma, so obviously Daniel helped me quite a bit because he's from the South. So you know, my ear goes to American quite easily compared to British, which is I think a lot of British people probably find that actually you can do American a bit easier than your Brit accents.
Yeah, well, I think it's a lot to do with the fact we're the Pepsi generation, aren't we? We're brought up on American culture. All the TV shows that we watch are American, and it's just a lot easier. And we think that's the way it's supposed to be. And I am definitely one of those people that defaults to an American twang because I sing a lot of grunge.
Absolutely. So. I do think it's interesting when you talk about America because America is such a big country, but yet the range of accents. I mean, there's so many variations of different American accents and which city they are, which state they are. But I think the amount of difference in accent between UK cities compared to American cities. Obviously, I'm English, so I don't hear the difference, whereas Americans would. But the difference between a Geordie accent to a Leeds accent, and it must be like an hour and a half drive, and it's a big difference. I don't find that as much in America. Probably some Americans will completely disagree with me, but I don't hear that as well as they do. So I do find that intriguing as well when you're coming to accent and stuff, the difference.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I suppose, would have problems between Canadian and American, and it's really only
Yeah,
through watching a ton of South Park I now
yeah,
understand the difference.
massively. I probably still wouldn't know now, which is really insulting. It's like Australia and New Zealand, same sort of thing. I'm not. My ear isn't used to it, so I wouldn't know. I just automatically think, oh, they're Australian, and they might not be, you know. So
Yeah. So, do you have stuff coming up anytime soon?
I
Obviously
wish.
not in the theaters, but any projects
No,
you're
I
working
mean,
on?
I'm doing there's a couple of little things like I'm doing a couple of recordings. Nothing terrible, like nothing of my own, if you know what I mean. I'm just sort of just for work and friends and things. Not really. I think we'll just be waiting by the sidelines to see what happens. Um, there's a few things in my locker, but there's nothing that's I would say is prominent. You
Hmm.
know, that's gonna all of a sudden I'm gonna be a multimillionaire, or you're gonna see me plastered on the TV. I don't think there's anything as of yet. Hopefully, but I don't know. You never know, do you? You never know, especially in these weird times. Not only is entertainment a very sporadic business, but you just never know what happens. So this lockdown period could do really bad things for entertainment, but it also in turn could do really wonderful things for entertainment. So no one really knows as of yet. But I do think if any industry can deal with this, it's entertainment, because we're so used to not being in regular work. You're so used to not being in a show every single time. Um, and when this happened, that was one of the first things I did say. I was like, if there's any industry that can deal with this, it will be the entertainment industry, definitely the theatre industry. Um, but I just think it's getting very long in the tooth now for theatre to try and come back, and I just don't know whether the government really understands the impact that the West End especially has on London,
Mm.
and how much of an attraction it is for tourists. Because I genuinely still believe that the only things that they have in London is anything related to the monarchy and history and the West End. Apart from that, there's not really anything you would massively come to London for. You know, sightseeing and a West End show, and the same would be for New York, sightseeing and a Broadway show. You know, they're two very very similar cities, um, and I think the theatre industry needs to have quite a bit of support from now on. If we go into that second lockdown, because it just wouldn't survive. It wouldn't survive, which you know you can't have that. So much history in theatre. So what a shame it will be.
Yeah. I've noticed this week that the last rock venue in central London has closed. Well, it's not even really, the rock bar, the Crowbar, closed last night for good, and they'll not be opening up again there. So, but after they removed all the music venues from central London in that terrible, what is it, Tottenham Cross Road rail thing,
Yeah,
like the West End is the thing left. That and the 100 Club, and how can the 100 Club even continue?
I
Um,
mean,
if all the theaters go, and there'd be nothing. Yeah, because are people just going to go for Buckingham Palace, and that's central London
yeah,
for you, and the museums?
I don't know, Rin. I mean, it's so difficult as well, because it's so easy for you to say what they should and shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
Hindsight is a wonderful thing. I don't wish it on anyone, this sort of a decision, because you're never going to make everyone happy. That's the standard factor. Um, you know, I know that there was a lot of artists that have put in petitions over music venues reopening and things like this, and I think that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, even with social distancing, if you're going to have 50,000 people in an arena compared to, let's say, the 1,200 you were going to have in a theatre, it's ridiculous, because you have to start small and build up. So for me, as much as, you know, not that they are, but as much as acts like Ed Sheeran and Little Mix and Drake and all these big artists that want to go on tour, I'm like, you've got to start small first. You've got to put the regulations in smaller venues first. So if they were going to help reopen music clubs that are dying,
Yeah.
surely that's the way to build back up to those arenas again. Get the small venues back, working in a safe environment, and then you build up. You can't just go straight for the O2. Yeah, there might be room, but one person goes in there with a virus case, who knows what can happen? And it's just sometimes you just got to be intelligent. And I think the quicker the theatre gets back, the quicker that every sort of live entertainment will then come back into the fold again.
Yeah.
The outdoor stuff has been brilliant. I did an outdoor gig in July, which went down August, could have been August or July, and it went down really, really well. We're looking to do a panto actually, because a lot of pantos have gone down. Everyone's like, why would you do it outdoor in the freezing cold? And I'm like, well, where else are you going to go? Because there's not going to be a panto around. So either you want your kids to come and have have a good time, wrap up warm, sit in the freezing cold, but for 2 hours, well, it's not gonna hurt you. Do you know what I mean? It's something to do, and especially in Cheshire, that's something that families want things to do. We don't have big cities here. The closest is like Manchester and Liverpool and Birmingham. But why are you going to go into a big city especially with how bad the Northwest is at the moment?
Yeah.
We're quite lucky at the moment that we've not gone into another lockdown, but the reports aren't looking good. Birmingham, Manchester, and sort of heading towards Liverpool. It's like, and we're right in the middle. So I'm like, please stay safe. Like, please leave us alone. So.
Well, thank you very much, Joel, for coming in and joining us. That was fantastic. We've run right out of time, and obviously we could have talked all day about all this stuff.
No problem.
No, very much. So, guys, I'm just going to go over the last parts of little outro stuff that we have for you today. Basically, we have our half-term children's camps open. Now, that could all change. We don't know what the future's going to hold, but if you've got a kid off for 1 or 2 weeks over the October holiday, I don't have children myself, so I don't know what to call it. We have 2 camps for you. One is the Happy Halloween Children's Camp, which is run by Daniel Stockton.
Yay!
And he will be pumpkin making, arts and crafts, choreography. There might be singing if it's allowed.
I want to see his choreography. I want to see his choreography immediately. I will demand to see it.
Okay, well, he did the 3 Bears, the last one that they did. So there'll be some dancing. We'll film it, and Joel will judge from afar. That'll happen.
Well, I'll be nice, I promise.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's for the kids. It's for the kids. And then our other show is the half-term Little Brushstrokes, as is normal, and that's the kids' craft week. So just to let you know that all of these events have sold out every time we've done it over this lockdown period. They're very, very popular. Kids tickets are limited, obviously, because of social distancing and all that. I don't know how they keep kids apart from each other, but it must be with large sticks. That's what I think. Large sticks. So that's all on sale. I am going to put the link for that in the description, and then you guys can just go in and see it and book up now, because if you don't book now, you will be disappointed. All right, that's all from me today. Eleanor I think is here tomorrow. One of us will be here tomorrow. I can't remember. I've got far too many buttons to try and push to get into the outside version of what we're doing, and that sentence made no sense at all. Lovely. So we'll be back tomorrow at 12. And we're here the rest of the week with lots of West End singers and actors and all sorts of things. Daniel Stockton has stocked us up with all of our guests this week, so that'll be wonderful. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you very much to Joel for joining us. Hooray!
Thank you. Thanks, Rim.
And we will see you all tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.